Growing up, I had a best friend named Steven. I think we met in the third grade, maybe fourth. I remember going to his house for the first time after school one day. We got off the bus and walked down the road to a nice, manicured, well-kept two-story white house. Huge yard. Everything was perfect. He let us in and we went upstairs to the kitchen. His mom loved popcorn. There was always a huge tub of air-popped corn on the counter. On the other side of the kitchen, the dining room. Two guys sitting at the table, high school age, with weeds scattered across the table. A bong still smoking. They were completely out of it. Half open, red eyes. Stephen told me that was his brother Dave and a friend from the neighborhood. Dave was thin, red hair, looked nothing like Stephen. His friend was one of those guys who looked about 15 years older than everyone else. Muscle shirt, huge arms. Stephen said to just ignore them, and we went downstairs to watch a laser disc. I wish I could remember which one. His parents owned a business, and they didn't get home until well after dark. I remember thinking, the upstairs reeks of weed, smoke still sitting in the air. Were his parents okay with this? Was this normal? After eventually meeting them, I can tell you they absolutely would not have been okay with it. But somehow, with Glade, candles, open windows, Dave never got caught. And this went on for years, until he left for Evergreen State. I use movies as chapter markers for my life. Many people say they have a soundtrack to their lives. Specific songs remind them of specific moments throughout. For me, it's movies. That's how I remember things. I can remember almost every single movie I have ever seen and who I saw it with and where. Up until about the age of 35, then things start to blur. I still remember most, but after 35 years, the details aren't quite as vivid as they were. Sneaking into heavy metal at the Fox Theater with the neighbor boys who lived in the house with the green barn. I don't recall their names. They were even younger than I was. Temple of Doom with my sister's best friend Patty at the State Theater on opening weekend. Raging Bull with my dad at Lincoln Heights Theater. A matinee. Aliens by myself in the main auditorium at Columbia Center Cinemas. I couldn't get anyone to go with me. Didn't matter. I went anyway. I'm pretty sure it was opening day. What we didn't get back then was a constant stream of superhero movies like today. Superman with Christopher Reeves in '78. Flash Gordon 2 years later, The Legend of the Lone Ranger in '81. They were few and far between. I heard somewhere not long ago that Generation X makes up a surprisingly small part of today's superhero audience. I don't remember where I heard it, but it stuck with me, and the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. We didn't grow up expecting to be saved, or more to the point, that nobody is ever going to come and save me. Welcome to The Art of Clarity, a podcast about creativity, the nervous system, and the strange ways the modern world competes for our minds. There was one exception. June 23, 1989. The build-up to Tim Burton's Batman was unlike anything I'd ever seen. You couldn't escape it. A year out, maybe more. Cereal boxes, Batman-themed Visa cards, costumes, Batman mac and cheese, underwear. It wasn't just a movie, it was a phenomenon. And everyone seemed to buy into it. An event you couldn't escape, including me. Hell, I'm not afraid to admit it. I even got a Batman tattoo one night on Capitol Hill before the film even came out. That's how certain I was of the moment. There were no leaks, no spoilers, no constant updates, just build-up and mystery. But here's the thing. Batman wasn't a savior. He wasn't sent. He wasn't chosen. He didn't come from another planet or was made in a lab. He was just a man who decided to do something about it. No powers, alone, often broken, just sheer will and brute strength. And maybe that's the difference. Because if you grew up the way I did, you didn't sit around waiting for someone to save you. You figured it out. You let yourself in. You made dinner. You handled it. So maybe it's not that Generation X doesn't like superheroes. Maybe it's that I don't connect to the ones who arrived to save the day. But the ones who had no choice, the ones who just dealt with it, those I understood. And somewhere along the way, the stories became formulas. The heroes got bigger, more powerful, more distant, more unrelatable. Back then, there wasn't anything to fall back on. There was no one to call, no way to look it up, whatever it was. If something broke, you either figured it out or it stayed broken. And later, when I actually needed saving, that still wasn't how it worked. The idea of something swooping in to save the day doesn't ring true. And the irony is, we're the ones who built it. I had to figure things out on my own. The idea that a hero swooping in doesn't resonate the same way. It's not about hating superheroes. It's about not needing them. Early films I connected with were often gritty, standalone stories that challenged me, not the algorithm-driven content we see now. I grew up with movies like Repo Man, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Blue Velvet, River's Edge. Those movies were singular, tonally risky, and best of all, unpredictable. They felt dangerous. My relationship to media and entertainment was personal, a reflection of my own situations. Walking home from school by myself, hanging out with friends in the woods, smoking cigarettes and the occasional dirt weed rolled into a joint, alone until Mom got home from work at 7:30. Taking apart your little brother's Teddy Ruxpin to see how it worked. We never knew what we were going to encounter or find. There was no one leading you. It was a mystery waiting to be solved, often going in blind. Somewhere along the way, things changed. Answers, instant ones, in your pocket. Directions, advice, solutions. An assurance that you wouldn't have to figure it out alone anymore. Carl Jung never wrote about film directly, but he believed the subconscious speaks in images, and that we project meaning onto what we see. Think about it. Sitting in a dark theater, watching light and shadow play across a screen. Maybe that's why those movies stayed with us. Because we weren't just watching them, we were inside them, with nothing there to interrupt the experience. Just you, and whatever came up. No interruptions, no explanations, and nothing stepping in to guide you. And eventually, you stop waiting. This is Gary Naccarato, and this has been The Art of Clarity.